who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
That's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything to give the American people the truth. And that's what they feared about Donald Trump. He's going to come in there and maybe give him the Epstein list.
Know that breaking up these trafficking rings is important to President Trump. So will you work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings?
Absolutely, Senators. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past and how we are going to countermand missing children and exploited children going forward.
Thank you.
She wanted them delivered here at the DOJ by 8 a.m. this morning. We asked if they arrived. No word yet. Mr. Patel said in a statement, Director Patel said in a statement, there will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, and no stone left unturned.
You know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself.
If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island, and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Is there video from the island?
Not of what you want.
Have you guys reviewed everything that you have?
Almost. Yes, we have, and now we're figuring out how to put it out.
The Wall Street Journal reporting that Trump was told by his Justice Department in a briefing in May that his name were in, quote, a truckload of files related to Jeffrey Epstein.
There's a new letter out today to Attorney General Pam Bondi from Ranking Member Dick Durbin, who writes this, quote, according to information my office received, you pressured the FBI to put approximately 1,000 personnel in its Information Management Division on 24-hour shifts to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records. Adding, quote, my office was told these personnel were instructed to flag any records in which President Trump was mentioned.
For folks that don't know, grand juries really serve two functions. One is to investigate, and an investigative grand jury may have subpoenaed documents that would be in DOJ files already. And they hear testimony, oftentimes because the rules of evidence don't apply. If you're a prosecutor, you don't necessarily put victims before the grand jury. You have your law enforcement witnesses summarize some of that testimony. That protects the witness and doesn't create impeachment evidence that could potentially be used against them at trial. So when you have these summary witnesses before the grand jury, they're not necessarily going to add a lot. For people that want the Epstein files, it's really those FBI memoranda, those 302s, those 402s. That's in Pam Bondi and Kash Patel's possession. They could release all that. So what they're talking about is a small fraction. There's no legal basis to unseal it. And it probably wouldn't add a whole lot to what we already know and wasn't made public in both the civil and criminal cases.
He said a significant and compelling reason to reject the government's request was that the information contained in the very transcripts, quote, pales in comparison the Epstein investigative information and materials in the hands of the DOJ. He wrote that the government's 100,000 pages of Epstein files and materials dwarf the 70-odd pages of Epstein grand jury materials here. So he's almost daring the DOJ to release what they have, saying the grand jury transcripts, the testimony there, that's nothing compared to what you guys have on Epstein just releasing.
We're talking about terabytes and terabytes of data that the Department of Justice has. And if you review the correspondence and the filings in those previous cases, this is all well known. So when you have Department of Justice officials that say they're going to make the Epstein files public, and let's be clear, Pam Bondi can do it with a stroke of her pen. Now, she should redact information related to the sex abuse victims to protect their identity, but she can do it. The Department of Justice maintains the privilege, the law enforcement privilege, the deliberative process privilege, but they can waive that privilege. So folks like me, members of the public, members of the media, they can't compel them. But that is something the Department of Justice can unilaterally do. Maybe they will with respect to this congressional subpoena. If so, I would be pleasantly surprised.
Have you seen the Epstein files?
I have not reviewed the entirety of it, but a good amount.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday.
So you were sworn in as director more than 200 days ago. Now the Black Book is under your direct control. So why haven't you released the names of Epstein's co-conspirators in the rape and sex trafficking of young women and girls?
So no, I am not okay.
The Rolodex, which is what everybody colloquially refers to as the Black Book, has been released.
Oh, no, you're talking about what the journalist got 5 years ago? No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what you were talking about there. The Black Book under the direct control of the FBI director.
Oh my God.
We have released more material than anyone else before. The Biden administration, Obama administration had the exact opportunities to release this material, and they never did. And if you are telling the men and women of the FBI, we're not going after child predators. Hang on, you said we're not going after child predators. 1,500 child predators arrested this year. 35% increase.
I'll reclaim my time.
4,700 child.
Without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No. I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of
you're
inmates.
Not in the weeds?
What I am doing is
most-
protecting this country, providing historic reform. And
How many times did President appear in the Epstein files? More than 100? More than 1,000?
No, and what we've been able to release is what we've been legally able to release.
That's not the question. I asked you, how many times did the president's name appear?
I don't know.
It's your testimony. You do not know that answer.
The number of times? No.
Sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times. Which
It's not.
leads me-
It's not.
Is it at least 500 times?
No.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know the number, but it's not that. The number is a total misleading factor.
To tell the truth, did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Did you tell the Attorney General that the president's name is in the Epstein files?
During many conversations that the Attorney General and I have had on the matter of Epstein, we have reviewed.
The question is
painstakingly
simple.
Who
Did you
can
tell
be-
the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out?
Yes
if you're
or
gonna mock
no, Director?
Use the alphabet.
Yes or no?
No, A, B, C,
Director,
D, E, F.
it
Don't
sounds
wanna
like
do
you don't want to tell us. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files?
Why don't you try serving your
Director,
constituency
did
by
you tell the
focusing on
Attorney
reducing
General
violent
that Donald
crime in this
Trump's
country and the number of pedophiles that
Director,
are legally
reclaim
harbored
my
in
time,
your
Director.
sanctuary cities in
Director,
California?
reclaim
I'll
my
work
time.
with you on that. Do
Regular
you
order,
want to
Mr.
work with
Chairman.
us on that?
Director, reclaim
I'm the
my
lawless
time.
gentleman from California.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
Question has been asked and answered.
Mr. Patel, before you joined the FBI, you had very strong opinions about what the FBI was hiding. In June, you told Joe Rogan, quote, "We've reviewed all the information. We're going to give you every single thing we have and can." But then suddenly in July, everything changed. You and Attorney General Pam Bondi released one video and said that there was nothing more to see. Your July memo says you uncovered more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence, but that you had decided no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. That is a quote. I think what happened, Mr. Patel, is that suddenly you discovered that Donald Trump's name was all over these files, and you started a giant cover-up. So you are under oath, Mr. Patel. You just testified to Mr. Swalwell that you did not speak to the president about the Epstein files. To your knowledge, did Attorney General Pam Bondi speak to the president about what was in the Epstein files?
I can't speak for Attorney General Pam Bondi.
So to your knowledge, you don't have any information. The question was, do you have any knowledge? Do you have any knowledge?
I can't speak.
You are refusing to answer the question, so let me tell you that the Wall Street Journal reported that in May, Bondi told Trump that he was in the Epstein files, and at the same meeting said that the DOJ did not plan to release the files. Yesterday, you testified to Senator Kennedy that there was, quote, no credible information that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone else, and that you have, quote, continuously and publicly asked the public to come forward with more information, and we'll look into it. Today, in response to Mr. Massey's question, you appeared to say that the survivors were not credible. These are survivors.
That's not at all what I said.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask you this in a second, but let me tell you about
then
the
don't lie about
survivors,
me.
and let's bring them up here into the room. These are women who came to the Hill and testified that they were groomed and raped at the age of 14 and 16 years old, and they called to meet with the president and to meet with the FBI and to have people investigate their claims. Some of them have never testified before. If you are so interested in getting the public to submit any information, why have you not met with them? You said you haven't met with them. Have you met with them? I'll give you one more chance.
My job as the FBI director is to invite all
Is the answer yes or no
leads.
to whether or not you met with these women who were sexually abused and raped?
Any insinuation by you or any
What
people
is
on
the
your side that I am not manhunting child predators and sex traffickers, just look at the
Mr.
stats.
Patel,
and you talk
Mr.
about
Chairman,
cover-ups, man.
Mr. Chairman,
you
this
talk
is
about
my time,
cover-ups.
and I will take as much time as
Where
I
were
want.
you during the
Instruct
Obama
the
and Biden
witness, Mr.
administrations
Chairman.
when these so-called
Instruct the
cover-ups were
witness.
going on?
Mr.
Why didn't
Chairman.
anyone in those administrations talk to any of these
Mr.
purported
Chairman.
witnesses?
Let's
I have
some regular order, Mr.
every
Chairman.
single person to provide credit.
You've seen the picture of the woman's body with the writing and the president's signature. The president says that's not his. Okay? President says it's not his. The Republican colleagues say it's not his. The administration say it's not his. Will you be opening up an investigation into the Epstein estate for putting out a fake document with the president's signature linking him to the world's largest pedophile ring? Will you be opening that investigation into that?
On what basis?
On what basis? They literally put out a fake document, according to the president, with a fake signature. It's a forgery of the president of the United States signature. That's the basis.
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay, I look forward to that investigation.
Okay, let's talk about the witness interviews. 302s of witness interviews. Those are not subject to the court order. Those are not subject to any fictional sealed order for a search warrant. Why aren't you releasing those with the redacted names of the victims?
We are releasing as much as legally allowed. That's why we went back to
How
the
is that?
courts.
How is that not legally allowed?
Sir, do you know how court orders work? Do you know how protective orders
Actually,
work? Do you know how
Mr.
sealing
Patel,
orders
I was
work?
a real prosecutor for 10 years. I know exactly how.
So I was a
court
fake one?
orders. And I want to understand what the court order prevents you from releasing witness statements that the FBI took.
You should know that as a real prosecutor, when the court hand downs a protective order and a motion to seal, the material is sealed unless
So
that
your
judge
testimony
waives
here
it.
is that all of those witness statements are under a court order, a protective order.
We are providing everything we can legally provide.
No, that's not my
Congress
question.
has sent us a
My
subpoena.
question is, why are those witness statements that are not grand jury testimony, that if they were under a protective order are no longer under a protective order, why are they not being released?
How are they not under a protective
Why
order?
are you not going to the court like you did for the grand jury testimony to unseal those records?
The DOJ did go to the court.
No, not on those records. Why aren't you going? You just went on grand jury.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
You are hiding the Epstein files, Mr. Patel.
Senator Kennedy asked you, you've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these women to besides himself? You replied, according to the transcript, there is no credible information that he trafficked them to anyone else. You also said somewhere in the hearing and here today that the problem is that the case files are constrained by limited search warrants from 2006 to 2007 and that the non-prosecution agreement hamstrung future investigations. Those constraints only apply to Southern District of Florida. They do not apply to Southern District of New York, the location of the 2019 sex trafficking indictment, which produced many things, including a series of FD 302 documents. According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to, victims including minors, such as Virginia Roberts Ufree, may she rest in peace. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada. We know these people exist in the FBI files, the files that you control. I don't know exactly who they are, but the FBI does. Have you launched any investigations into any of these people, and have you seen these 302 documents?
Sir, I have asked my FBI agents to review the entirety of the Epstein files and bring forth any credible information. And we're working with Congress not only to divulge that information and produce it to you, but any investigations that arise from any credible investigation will be brought. There have been no new materials brought to me launching a new indictment.
So is the loophole here, or is it your assertion that these victims aren't credible, that the 302s maybe didn't produce credible statements that rise to a probable cause?
It's not my assertion, sir. It's the assertion of two different United States attorneys' offices from three separate administrations who investigated those same materials in lifetime.
Are the 302 documents in the FBI's possession?
They reviewed all that, yes, sir.
And so have you reviewed those 302 documents where the victims name the people who victimized them?
If I personally know, but the FBI has.
So how can you sit here and in front of the Senate and say there are no names?
I said
I named one today.
I said we are not in the practice at the Department of Justice FBI of releasing victims' names. That is not what we do. We are also not in the habit of releasing incredible information. That's not what we do. But multiple authorities have looked at the entirety of what we have.
Okay. Yesterday, I told Kash Patel he has 20 names in his files that he hasn't released. It seems as though he didn't know he has those 20 names. Either that or he doesn't believe that the victims are credible. I believe that Trump is trying to protect rich and powerful people who are his friends, and that is why this material is not getting released.